Bad week for district attorneys in the North Valley. Longtime DA Larry Morse beaten badly there by prosecutor Kimberly Helms Lewis. Helms Lewis would be the first woman to be elected DA in Merced County. In Madera County, two candidates who have worked under the incumbent David Lynn. They will now compete head-to-head for Lynn's job in November. Sally Moreno and Paul Hornick easily topping Lynn there. Now, his defeat comes after allegations of inappropriate workplace behavior that have been dogging him for a while. He says those allegations, as well as a campaign where he didn't spend as much money as others, factored into his loss.
I think if you look at the contribution sheets and the expenditure sheets, it shows that both of my opponents spent significantly more than I did in this race.
Lynn says he could be starting a private law practice when his term ends. Moreno says she and her family are going to take a little break this month, but before then, I sat down with her after her primary victory. Sally Moreno joining us here this week. Sally, congratulations on a very strong showing in the primary for Madera County District Attorney.
Thanks, Evan.
All right, so you finished with the most votes out of everybody. It's an interesting race that we've been following very closely because the current DA, David Lynn, obviously, he's had some controversies in his past, and you and the other person in the race who finished in second both worked for him at one time, one currently and one as yourself did in the past.
That's correct.
This race, do you think, was it as much an indictment on Lynn as it is about yourself and Paul Hornick? You
know, and that's a great question because clearly when I ran for office, when I decided to run, I knew that the office was in need of a good person because it was being run by someone who wasn't great for the office. But I end up being a great candidate. You know, my background and my history, I've been a prosecutor off and on in this valley for over 20 years, and I have a background in law enforcement and the military. I've actually worked in Fresno and in Merced, so I can bring the best of those offices to an office in Madera, which has great lawyers in it. I've worked with some of those people, and I have good relationships with them as well.
So, with your experience working for David Lynn in Madera, you compare that now, you're at Fresno County District Attorney's Office, working for Lisa Schmidt-Camp, working for two different leaders in that sense. What have you taken away from that? How is it different?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, my own leadership training as a military officer, as a major in the Army, gives me an understanding of what leadership should be. And working with Lisa, she's an example of everything that a leader should be. She's selfless. She's worried about making sure that the people who work for her have the assets they need to do the job she needs them to do. And once she gets us those assets, then we're able to do our job. And that's the essence of leadership. And Madera isn't running like that right now.
You've said in the past you thought that the leadership there was not strong enough.
Yes. In Madera, that's correct.
All right. Running for office for district attorney, that's a whole different thing. Obviously, I talked to a lot of people running for city council and senate and governor and all that stuff. When you're talking about running for district attorney or you're running for judge, it's kind of a different thing. How do you campaign for a race like this compared to, say, and not that you have run for city council, but I mean, how is it different in your mind?
Well, it really is focused on public safety. So I'm not dealing with the whole breadth of legislative ideas and concepts. We're really just focused on what's going to affect public safety and how do we keep our community more safe. But I will tell you, in the 14 months that I've been campaigning, I'd like to think the people of Madera have had a chance to get to know me. I'm not a difficult person to get to know, and I've had conversation with probably hundreds of people in Madera and heard their opinions and expressed mine to them. And I think, the results show that they're comfortable with me as a person, me being the person making those decisions.
How would you describe your thoughts on public safety, law enforcement? For example, when it comes to issues like the hot button ones, like we've seen with Prop 47, Prop 57, stuff like that.
Well, I took part with the District Attorneys Association in drafting legislation that actually pushes back against Prop 47 and Prop 57 and AB 109. That's the Keeping California Safe initiative. It will be on the ballot in November. And it makes what I think are some much needed changes to move back towards focusing on public safety.
Prison overcrowding obviously is an issue, and the state has struggled with that. What is the best way in your mind to address that while not going light on law enforcement and light on public safety, as we hear so often from people in your profession?
Well, the interesting fact, and the fact that, really hasn't gotten a lot of play in the media, is when the 3-judge panel took over our prisons, a 3 federal judge panel took over and said we're overcrowded, and they set a limit for us. We reached that limit over a year ago. So now we're really just dealing with Governor Brown wanting to get more people out of prison. And at some point, it becomes dangerous. And that's, I think, what we've seen with Prop 57. The people who are now eligible for early parole are violent, dangerous people. And that's what's motivated the District Attorneys Association, CAL FIRE, and a lot of other organizations to get behind this, keeping California safe, and say, okay, that's enough. It's time to focus on keeping the people of California safe.
I know a lot of community organizers, they would maybe push back and say, listen, the intent of so many of these things is not punishing too harshly people who are addicted to drugs, and that it's that addiction that's driving them to commit these crimes, and that is what's getting them thrown in jail for a long time, and then they come out and then it starts to spiral out of control. So how do we address people who are low-level drug addicts who are committing property crimes? How do we address that while separating that from the violent criminals, which we so often, sometimes they can get mixed up sometimes and mingled?
Absolutely. And there are some really interesting programs that are developing. I'm part of a program that's working with a church in Central Fresno to do just that, to take low-level drug addicts who look like they're doing well in our drug courts and put them into a training program where we get them interview skills, we help them build a resume, we get them some job skills if they need it. We're partnering with some other people in Fresno to get them some actually computer training skills to try to get them back into the job market. And the key is to try those things and see what works. But if you're not watching to see what's successful, you don't know what to do more of. And if it doesn't work, then we scrap that and we try. So there's a lot of good ideas. We just have to vet them, find the ones that are going to work for people, and do more of those.
So, all right, we've got about 30 seconds left. What's your next steps here, race-wise, political-wise? How do you make sure that your name's up at the top in November?
Well, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. I work hard. I get out to community events. I talk to people. I think the people in Madera are getting to know me and getting more comfortable with me. I'll keep doing what I've been doing, and I hope the people in Madera will keep doing what they're doing, which is listening to their message and doing what's best for their personal safety and the safety of Madera County. Sally Moreno, she's running for Madera County District Attorney. Thanks so much for taking the time today. We appreciate it. My pleasure. Thank you, Evan. Thank you.